joins me on the phone now. Naomi, the site completely dismantled, or almost completely dismantled, by officials enforcing this High Court order. Just give us your reaction to this and how you're feeling at the moment.
Well, it's a sad day, obviously. It's something we've had a while to prepare for, and your previous speaker was right to say that what we've been doing here is symbolic, and actually what is happening here is now very symbolic as well. In actual fact, most people have taken their possessions away already. The tents which are there, which have been left for the authorities are clear, are there as sort of, as a symbolic, as a symbolic protest, to sort of, mark that yes, if you want to move it, then it will take some physical effort to move it. But yeah, I mean, the tents may be gone, but Occupy lived on. It's the same in the UK as it has been worldwide. This is a movement which has enormous worldwide reach, and it's talking about something which is terribly important.
Yeah, it is a movement, like you said, that has gained international profile, I suppose, in areas like Wall Street, in New York, the protest campaign that took place there. But this particular protest in London, do you think the message that you were hoping to get across came across to the people that you wanted it to?
I think when we set out, we were careful, to say that what we wanted to do is we wanted to draw attention to a particular range of issues to do with, how finance dominates our economy and how government doesn't manage it properly, and to, sort of widen the bounds of public debate in this country and make people feel that they can make a difference. And I think we've achieved both those things. I think we've been conspicuously successful in both of those aims.
How?
If you look at how if you look at how the political debate in this country has been progressing, I don't think that, for instance, Stephen Hester would have lost his bonus had Occupy not happened. I also think that, in the past week in the UK, we've seen a great popular movement against, people who are getting unemployment benefit being forced to work for free. Workfare has become a dirty word in the United Kingdom. And I don't think that campaign would have had as much traction it has as quickly without Occupy preparing the grounds, and I'm very proud that we've managed to do that.
There are those listening to you, though, Naomi, that would argue that that notion that Stephen Hester's bonus, the RBS chairman's bonus, him not taking that was down to you, is perhaps verging on absurd.
Absurd to say that we were...
It was a direct result, as you've just said, of the Occupy campaign, because the regulation of city bonuses, the regulation of the corporate world was perhaps already on the agenda before the Occupy London campaign took place.
Well, these are things difficult to prove one way or the other, but I can say for sure that the BBC certainly credited us with changing the mood, at least to that point. So, which is significant. As an activist, you don't expect to get credit for things, but in that case, we did. Now, I would say that Stephen Hester losing his bonus does not even begin to tackle the problem, this major systemic issue. But it's a sign that the British government now has to look very seriously at these problems, because they know there is substantial public pressure for them to do so, and the expectation that these things need to be looked at. This is not going to stop. This is going to grow.
Sorry to interrupt you, Naomi. Is there anything throughout these 4 months that you'd wish that your campaign had coordinated differently or had tackled differently?
I think we've been pretty successful in 4 months, which isn't a huge amount of time to be doing anything apart from actually maybe holding a campsite in St. Paul's Churchyard. It's a long time to be doing that. Is there anything I wish we'd done differently? It's an interesting question, and you can look back, and there are many sort of what ifs, and we could have done this, we could have done that. But I'm basically just very proud about what we have done, and I look at the varied efforts of very many dedicated people which have made this what it is. And I've been talking over the past few weeks talking about plans for the future and how this movement is going to come back in the spring with a bang, in a way that you may not expect. And I'm inspired by talking to the people who I've met doing this, and I know we will go on to do great things in the future, and hopefully encourage other people to do that as well, to stand up and be counted and take their politics back.
Naomi, we should mention, of course, the church that took a very focal point in this campaign at a time when the position of the protesters shifted to St. Paul's. Do you see that as a turning point in the campaign?
I think, landing outside St. Paul's Cathedral, which wasn't what we expected. It was really, we got kettled by the police and then couldn't move, and then so people set down tents in front of them by St. Paul's. It was kind of accidental, but it was pretty fortuitous. Certainly, it catapulted us into the headlines in the United Kingdom to an even greater extent than we were before. I think it will also serve as a bit of a turning point for the church, and I know that a lot of people try to think very seriously about what the church's role is in contemporary society and how the church should be engaging with social issues, and actually how activists should be engaging with faith groups as well. There's been a lot of interesting work going on there in the past few months, and I hope we carry that through into whatever comes next.
Naomi, whereabouts are you at the moment?
I'm just around the corner from where things are going on. Things have got a little louder since we started this phone call. Basically, most of the site has been cleared. There are a few people, as you'll probably see in the pictures, who are holding out and want to make a stand, quite literally. And as of just before you rang, a group of specialist police who I think dismantle structures and that kind of thing had come in, so presumably that's what's happening over there at the second.
Okay, and we've just lost our live shot, Naomi, to that scene, but we're just showing our viewers pictures of St. Paul's within the last half an hour or so, where the scene very much quietened down, and as you've just described it, just the hardcore protesters left on the site there. You are the spokesperson for the occupied camp. Is it not perhaps your job or your position to approach those hardcore protesters and perhaps give them some advice as to what they should do next, and what would you tell them?
Well, I object fundamentally to describing people as hardcore or not hardcore. I think this just encourages division where there is none. I'm not really a spokesperson. I have been doing some media work, and I end up talking to the press a lot. I would hesitate to call myself a spokesperson, but that's okay. I mean, this is, Occupy is part of a wider movement that believes that given the right information about possible repercussions of your actions, and given the chance to debate your views with other people, people will reach the decisions which are right for them. Sure. And we've given people full information about, what potential actions they may be considering might mean to them and their future, and for the movement. We produced a very detailed document which we handed around very widely and made sure that everybody saw. And that's, I think, about, in the absence of a consensus decision about what to do, which we didn't have, we reached a decision that we would make sure that people were fully informed and let them make an informed decision. And
okay, well,
maybe,
the responsibility
to do that.
I know you've just made the point that you yourself have done a number of media interviews, so maybe we were wrong to give you the title of spokesperson, but you are speaking on behalf of your campaign group. But what I'm quite keen to find out is who ultimately is giving that order, for want of a better word, that says, stand down, all is done, this is it now.
There is no order. We agree things by consensus. The way that modern movements work is not. It's not a membership organisation. There's no hierarchy. It's not the case that you join Occupy and you sign your name on a bit of paper and pay your dues and then have to and then obey the commands which are handed down to you. No, the way Occupy works.
For the last 3 or 4 people that are left there, I mean, it's probably more. You can probably tell me more clearer the picture. It is up to them ultimately to eventually come down and accept that this is it.
It's up to them to do what they see fit. I believe they've gone in with an informed, having made an informed decision about what they want to do. And there is some, we can talk about civil disobedience if you like. Civil disobedience is an admirable thing, and the reason why it's admirable is people go into it knowing what the possible consequences may be. It isn't for me to dictate to people who have a clear idea about what they want to do, about what they should do. We can discuss, what it may mean for them and what it may mean for the movement, but ultimately it's their decision, and that's as it should be. And I think we're making, this is very consistent with the way, we've conducted ourselves, which is, yes, we have an arena where everyone can, discuss their views, and we decide things through consensus. But we give people the responsibility to decide what they want to do and how they want to organise themselves, and how, and given that, people will tend to organise themselves in sort of an orderly and respectful way, which is actually what we've seen all the way through Occupy London, and nobody has seriously ever tried to argue the otherwise.
Naomi, we are grateful for your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Naomi Colvin there, speaking as a member of the Occupy camp. Another member of that Occupy London group is Saskia, who is not at St. Paul's but has lived at the protest site and has been involved with the movement. Saskia, you're watching this. I'm not sure where you are at the moment, but you're not in central London at the site. How are you feeling hearing this news?
Well, I'm watching it on television, and whilst I obviously am sad to see the dismantlement of such an amazing community where we've had a university and we've had discussions about the problems with our global economic system in every respect, and so many people have come together to learn so much, because a big part of what the Occupy movement is about worldwide is about creating a space for discussion for people. And I think we have raised a number of very significant issues and raised it up in the international agendas. And Occupy London is very much part of a global movement of over 1,000 occupations that have happened throughout the world, and many that still are going on throughout the UK, but perhaps don't get quite the media spotlight.
Can I ask you why you left the camp?
Well, I haven't left the camp. I'm one of those people. There are many of us who have other responsibilities in our lives, so I can't stay at the camp all the time.
40 or 50.
But I do it when I can be there. And I would just like to say that this is very much the end of the beginning. And we have many future plans. We will be having General Assemblies, hopefully on the steps of St. Paul's, every Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock, and roving General Assemblies throughout London at 7 o'clock on a Friday evening. There is a whole programme of citizenship and outreach happening in schools. Occupy London, this is not the end. We are not defeated.
But ultimately, I suppose the laws come down legally. There is nothing is on your side that would maintain this site. Would there be that case?
Well, I'm sorry, I disagree with you. The city made very clear in the court case that people have a right to protest and a right to assemble.
But their ruling, I mean, we have it in front of us. The High Court order is the fact that the tents had to be moved, not necessarily the protesters themselves. So I suppose you cannot then continue the life of a tent camp, can you?
Well, obviously there won't be a tented encampment there, but we will continue with our politics and our debate and our gathering of ordinary men and women, and through consensus allowing people to have a voice and to have a discussion and be heard. And those meetings will continue to happen on the steps of St. Paul's. That is certainly our intention. And there are a host of other activities that will be made available through the social media and through our website, Occupy London, that other people can get involved in. This is a global movement about injustice.
Okay, Saskia, just in one word, if you can, for us, how are you feeling tonight?
Well, 2 words: sad and at the same time elated that people are watching us and hopefully thinking about joining us and joining our struggle for a better, fairer society for all of us.
Well, we'll have to leave it there, Saskia, but thank you so much for joining us. Saskia from Occupy London on an interesting 3 hours or so where, of course, dozens of police and bailiffs in central London at the site of St. Paul's Cathedral have moved in to dismantle the Occupy London site that was set up 4 months ago. More on that to come. Rico, over to you with the latest on a cruise liner that's run into trouble.